Okay, so thank you for joining me today for this listening live complete assessment class. This is a live group class that we hold on a monthly basis. And this month I am doing a live class on the listening section of the new TOEFL iBT. After this class, I think you'll have a really good idea of what all the parts are for the listening section and what it's like to go through those parts. If you have any questions during this live session, please type your question in the chat box and I'll get to your question as soon as possible. So, some people are brand new and have no experience with this test. So, just as a quick review, for the listening section, there are four task types. And normally you have about 35 to 45 questions total. You have first the listen and choose a response question type, where you have a short statement by somebody and you have to choose the best reply. Then you have listen to a conversation, which involves a campus or everyday conversation plus multiple choice questions. Then you have listen to an announcement, which is a campus classroom announcement that's made and multiple choice questions. And then you have listen to an academic talk, which is a short lecture in a lecture style or even nowadays a podcast style, which they have also. Now, in terms of the scoring is adaptive and it is a two-stage adaptive routing method. Method one is the routing module. Routing module means that is the module that will send you down one of two paths. It will send you down an easy path or a difficult path. Module one is the same for everybody. Okay, it determines your path for module two. If you do a really good job, you're going to go down the path of module two, which is the more difficult path. If you don't do a good job on module one, it puts you on an easier path. Now, some of you may be saying, well, I want the easier path. No, you do not want the easier path, because if you go down the easier path, your score is pretty much capped at a 4 out of 6. You can't get better than that. The only way you get up to a 6, which is the highest level, is to go down the more difficult path. So, in the course, I've said that many, many times that you want the test to get more difficult because that means that the algorithm is recognizing you as a higher level English performer and that you can perform at a higher level, and it puts you in the higher range of being able to score. So you want the test to get more difficult. Now, number three, students also ask me, well, how does scoring work? It's very difficult to answer that question because ETS uses an algorithm and a scoring system, and they don't publish it. All right. They don't publish the scoring system. And all we know is you get 1 point for each correct answer. Um, maybe I'm assuming that a lot of times the more difficult questions weigh more than the easier questions. Probably the academic talk questions may have more weight than the listen and choose a response questions, but they don't publish that. So what you see on the right hand side is really the best estimate of how scoring works and how you can kind of figure out where you're going. Okay, so if somebody's going on the hard path, if you're scoring between 80 and 90%, then you're going to be between at a 5 or 5.5. Okay, if you're scoring at 60 to 70% correct, you're around a 4.5 on the hard path. Now, in most of the practices that I have created in the course, it goes easy hard. I don't really go easy easy. So it's pretty much I'm more on the more difficult path range, um, just so people can get used to the adaptive testing. Okay, now We're going to move into the actual listening practice. We're going to go through a module 1. We're going to go through all 4 question types, and then I'm going to give the answers. And then we're going to do a module 2, and then I'm going to give the answers. Before I get started, does anyone have any questions at all about the listening section of the test? Because once we start the test, I won't be able to stop and answer questions because we'll be actually doing a practice test. So I'm going to pause right here for about 20 or 25 seconds and give anyone a chance to ask any question they want to ask me about the listening section. If there are no questions in 20 to 25 seconds, we're going to start the practice test. So if you have any questions, please type it in the chat box right now. Type it in the chat box. I'm going to wait 25 seconds. Question. Can we use a headset in the TOEFL? Yeah, you have a headset. Yeah, everybody has on a headset. And apparently they have said they've gotten better headsets than they used in the past. So, I mean, I can remember, 15 years ago, they were using headsets. So as far as, it's not like I know in the past on the IELTS exam, in the past, they used to just play an audio loud for everybody, which was crazy to me. But, the TOEFL has pretty much been using headsets for a long time. Um, is there a length of time in the second statement in the section of the task types? You're talking about the listen to a conversation question? Yeah, the way it works is you have you like for listen and choose a response, they give you a certain amount of time per question. But for the listen to a conversation and listen to an announcement, listen to academic talk, you're working from a block of time. Okay, a block of time. And so they're not giving you like 30 seconds per question, 20 seconds per question. They're giving you a block of time. And so you have to really manage your time very well. In the Udemy platform format, we can't do blocks of time where everybody controls their individual block of time. But it's just like for the reading, you have control over how much time you're going to spend. Um, Now, in the course, you'll see me giving you 20 seconds here, 25 seconds here, 30 seconds here. And what I'm doing is I'm giving you how much time you should take on a specific question type, how much time you should take for each individual question. But on the exam, it is a block of time. It's a block of time, and you have to be able to manage your own time. Do you understand? All right, that's how the TOEFL's always been. Okay, it's always been a block of time. So very often on the TOEFL, you'll hear them play the conversation, and then the block of time starts. Maybe it's at 10 minutes, and it starts counting backwards. And then after you answer the questions, the block of time stops, and then the next conversation will be played. And then after the next conversation is played, the block of time starts again. And then after the conversation stops, the block of time starts. That's how it works, everybody. But I can't simulate that on the exam, but you can simulate it yourself in the practices. You don't have to follow my clock in the practices in the course. You can set a clock for 8 minutes, 10 minutes, and then you can kind of manage your time and kind of simulate that, but I can't do that for you. Okay. If there are no other questions, we're going to go ahead and get started with the practice. Yes, I have an IELTS course. Yes, there's an IELTS course. Um, and like I just told everybody earlier, that I just put a link inside of the chat box. I put a link inside the chat box for a Duolingo English course that I just created. It's a link that allows you to take that course for free. All right, I just created the course and I'm still adding to that course. So right now it's being offered for free, but that's for the Duolingo course. There is no coupon for my IELTS course for free, but for that Duolingo course, it's offered for free right now for the next 5 days. Um, which is easier, the TOEFL or the IELTS? It's it really is a preference. I think with the new release of the TOEFL, I do think the new TOEFL is a little bit easier than the IELTS exam. The new TOEFL is. In the past, I would say it was about the same. But now the new TOEFL I think is a little bit easier than the IELTS exam, a little bit easier. Um, but again, it's preference. It is preference. But yeah, but that's just my opinion. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and get started. Please make sure you're ready. Please make sure you have a paper or pencil to write down your answer choices. All right, coming up next, we're going to go into listening. This is like an exit test. It used to be I created this as an exit test, but I'm going to use it as this live class. So if you see exit test places, that's what that is for. I'm using it for the live class. And this is going to be module 1. So let's go ahead and get started right now. Please make sure you're ready because when I go to the next screen, it's starting immediately. Let's begin.
Did you get my email about the budget?
The fire alarm just went off. I need directions to the train station.
Have you signed up for the workshop?
My phone battery's almost dead.
I think we ordered the wrong size.
Are you attending the conference next week?
The internet connection keeps dropping.
Excuse me, I asked for the grilled salmon, but this looks like the fried fish.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me take this back and get you the correct dish right away.
Thank you. Also, could I get some extra lemon on the side when it comes out?
Absolutely. I'll make sure the kitchen includes extra lemon with your salmon. It should only take about 10 minutes.
No problem. I appreciate you taking care of this so quickly.
Of course, and I'll bring you a complimentary appetizer while you wait as an apology for the mix-up.
Did you finish the reading assignment for tomorrow's class? It was pretty long.
I got through most of it, but I'm still confused about the last chapter. The economic theories are really complex.
I know what you mean. I had to read that section twice before it made sense to me.
Maybe we should form a study group before the exam. It might help to discuss the material with others.
That's a great idea. I know a few people in class who might be interested in joining us.
Perfect. Can you reach out to them and see if they're free this weekend?
Listen to an announcement at a train station.
Attention all passengers. The 11:15 express train to downtown Chicago has been delayed by approximately 30 minutes due to a signal problem on the tracks. The train is now expected to arrive at 11:45. We apologize for any inconvenience. Passengers may wait in the heated waiting area on Platform 3 or visit our cafe on the main level. Updated departure information will be displayed on the monitors throughout the station. Thank you for your patience.
Hey there, welcome back. So I want to talk to you about something you've probably noticed at your local grocery store, or maybe even at your favorite burger joint. Have you ever tried one of those burgers that wasn't actually made from a cow? Yeah, I'm talking about plant-based meat alternatives, and they've absolutely exploded in popularity over the last few years. Companies like Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods are now selling their products in major supermarkets and fast food chains worldwide. But what exactly are these products? And are they actually better for the environment? Let me break it down. Plant-based meats are made primarily from proteins found in peas, soybeans, or wheat. Scientists use heat, pressure, and cooling to create a texture surprisingly similar to animal meat. Some products even include beet juice to mimic the look of blood. Pretty wild, right? The environmental argument is compelling. Producing a plant-based burger uses about 90% less water and creates 90% fewer greenhouse emissions compared to beef. It also requires 70% less land. But here's the thing. Plant-based meats are highly processed foods containing many ingredients, including oils and preservatives. Some nutritionists worry they're not as healthy as just eating beans or vegetables. There's also taste and cost. While products have improved dramatically, many consumers still prefer traditional meat, and plant-based options typically cost more. Despite these challenges, sales keep growing as more people look for ways to reduce their environmental impact.
All right, let's go ahead and go through the answers now. All right, here are the answers to Module 1. I'll go ahead and pause right here. This is a global answer screen, but I'm going to pause right here for 1 minute so you can go ahead and run through and check your answers. Some people were trying to send me messages during the test. Everybody, I cannot, if you have a problem or there's something that you missed, I can't respond to a question when an active test is going on. I can't. Because if I start typing or trying to do something to respond to your message, it'll make the audio stop or it'll make the clock stop. I can't do that. So what I want you to do, because at the end, we'll try to figure out where you are in terms of your scoring. So remember, these are 18 questions. So you want to calculate, how many you got correct so far out of 18. So if you got, 15 out of 18, write down somewhere 15 out of 18. If you got 13 out of 18, write down 13 out of 18. All right. Now, here are the listen and respond questions with more detail. I'm not gonna pause here for long, but if you got one of these wrong, you could take a moment and look at why you got something wrong. Again, number 1 was A. I'll review it this afternoon. Number 2 was B. We should evacuate the building. Number 3 was C. Go straight and turn left at the light. And number 4 is D. Not yet. Is there still space? Okay. And like I said, on the middle, you can see why the correct answer was the most socially appropriate response. And then on the right hand side, you can see the traps and things that are involved in terms of wrong answers. For numbers 5, 6, 7, and 8, the correct answers were A, B, C, and A. You can see why an answer was, remember, socially appropriate. That's what you're doing here, everybody. You're picking the correct answer choice, which is the one that is socially appropriate. And I have an entire lecture in the course on what that means in terms of socially appropriate, because other answers are real answers that a person might say, but it's not the most socially appropriate answer to say. And that's what they're testing you on, because when you go into a foreign country, you have to know what is the socially appropriate thing to say in that country or where you're going to. So that's what they really are testing you on. Number 9 was C. It said, I asked for grilled salmon, but this looks like the fried fish. He received the wrong dish today. Answer is C. For number 10, the audio said, I'll bring you a complimentary appetizer while you wait as an apology for the mix-up. Correct answer is a free item while he waits longer. You can notice that correct answers are paraphrasing what's in the audio. Paraphrasing. So you have to be able to recognize paraphrasing and synonyms. Okay, it's an English test. If it were just hearing the same words, where's the test? Here are 9 and 10 in terms of the transcript. I just went over it before, but normally when I upload these things into the course, you can actually see things like this. Number 11 and 12, 11 is D, 12 is B. For number 11, it says, I'm still confused about the last chapter. The economic theories are really complex. Correct answer is D, understanding concepts in the assignment. And then 12, maybe we should form a study group before the exam. That's a great idea. Organize a group to review together. right? And then we can see why the wrong answers are wrong. And here are 11 and 12 in terms of being able to look at the transcript and the correct answers. I put this here a lot of times for people to be able to kind of see how things match up in a transcript and how they're using synonym language and paraphrasing. And then here's the announcement about the train delay. 13 was the 11:15 express train has been delayed due to a signal problem on the tracks, a technical problem with the signals. And then 14, passengers may wait in the heated waiting area on platform 3 or visit our cafe on the main level. Wait in a comfortable indoor location nearby. That is the correct answer. And here it is with the transcript. Again, we do this for context purposes. And then for the academic talk, number 15 is A, 16 is C. And here it is with the transcript. And then 17 is A, and 18 is C. And there it is with the transcript. All right, now, in terms of that first module, what was the most difficult part for you? Does anybody have any questions about any of the parts or any of the sections? Is there anything that surprised you? Is there something what did you see? And this is a good question that everybody can learn from. What did you see that you really need to work on, right? From this, in terms of the first section, second conversation announcement, and then the academic talk. What did you see that you need to actually work on or improve upon? Any feedback on that would be great, because keep your own record. You don't have to put in there you got 14 out of 18, but keep track of your records. Okay. Margarita, I don't know why you didn't see number 11. But other people saw number 11, so I don't know why that happened to you. Paola says, I think for me is how to respond to certain questions. So Paola, what do you mean in terms of how to respond to certain questions? You're talking about, but what are you talking about? Because there are 4 different parts. You're talking about all parts? Because if you're talking about all parts, that just gets better with practice. You definitely have to focus, Marwa, because a lot of times if you lose focus or you start thinking about what was in the past or what you just did, you miss out on what's coming. The inference questions can be tricky. I think the only question type that really, really requires more note taking would be the listen to an academic talk. It is hard to maintain all that information, for the academic talk in your head. That's difficult to do. Ibrahim says compared to the previous exam, it seems easier. Yeah, it seems a little, it does to me, to Ibrahim, I think it is easier. The academic talks are shorter. I do think that where the new exam is more difficult is time pressure, right? It's a lot more intense. It's a lot more concise. And so there's no, time for taking, it's much more intense. So sometimes when something is shorter, it can be much more intense. All right, so good. Thanks for your feedback. We're going to now move everybody into module number 2. Okay, please do not write anything. Make sure let me see if I can actually disable that. I think I did. Okay, I figured out how to delete it. All right, nobody write anything. I think I'd stop that from happening, but please no one do that. Okay, we're going to go into module number 2 now. Module number 2. This is listening, module number 2. This is, don't ignore where it says exit test. This was originally designed for an exit test, but I'm using it for a live class. Okay, I'm going to turn off my microphone so there's no background noise picking up from me. And let's go ahead and begin. In an actual test, the clock will show you how much time you have to complete each question. You would use the next button to move to the next question. Of course, the first task is listen and choose a response. You'll listen to a sentence or a question, then read 4 sentences and choose the best option, the most socially appropriate option. Remember that, please. Okay, let's start.
Can I get a receipt for this purchase?
Do you know when the store opens?
I'm not feeling well today.
Should I bring anything to the potluck?
Have you finished reviewing the contract?
The elevator seems to be stuck. I heard you're moving to a new apartment. Can you explain this chart to me?
Okay, now comes the conversation, announcement, and academic talk. You will listen only one time and then answer the questions. In the actual test, there will be a clock that indicates how much time you have to answer. Okay, let's begin.
I'm calling about the apartment on Oak Street. I submitted my application last week, but haven't heard back.
Let me check. We've completed your background check, and everything looks good. However, we still need employment verification.
I included my pay stubs. Was something missing?
We also require a letter from your employer confirming your position and salary. It's standard for all applicants.
I can get that from HR tomorrow. Once you receive it, how long until I know?
Typically 48 hours. If approved, you can move in the first of next month.
The board approved our contemporary art exhibition proposal. We have $200,000 and a 6-month timeline.
Excellent. I've reached out to several artists whose work complements our urban transformation theme.
What about installation requirements? Some contemporary pieces have complex technical needs.
That's my concern. 2 artists use large-scale video projections requiring significant gallery modifications.
We should get estimates before final selections. I don't want infrastructure consuming too much budget.
Agreed. I'll request technical specifications and consult with facilities about feasibility.
Did you notice the leak under the kitchen sink? It's gotten worse since yesterday.
I saw the puddle this morning. We should contact the landlord before it damages the floor.
I already called, but got voicemail. Should we try to fix it ourselves?
Absolutely not. Our lease specifically says tenants aren't responsible for plumbing repairs. If we cause additional damage, we could lose our security deposit.
You're right. I'll send a follow-up email with photos so there's a written record.
Listen to an announcement at a law firm.
I'm pleased to announce some changes to our professional development program next quarter. We're increasing the training budget by 30%, which means more opportunities for external conferences and certifications. We're also launching a mentorship initiative pairing junior associates with senior partners across practice areas. Additionally, we're introducing flexible study leave for those pursuing advanced degrees. Eligible employees can request up to 2 weeks paid leave annually for exam preparation. Details will be distributed by email this week.
Listen to an announcement at an airport terminal.
Attention passengers. Due to severe weather in the Chicago area, Flight 247 to O'Hare has been delayed approximately 90 minutes. Passengers should monitor departure screens for updates. Meal vouchers are available at the customer service desk for those affected. Additionally, passengers connecting through Chicago to international destinations should speak with a gate agent about rebooking options. We apologize for the inconvenience and appreciate your patience.
Every time you use a free online service, you're paying with something, your data. This is the foundation of what scholar Shoshana Zuboff calls surveillance capitalism, an economic system where human experience is claimed as free raw material for translation into behavioral data. Let me explain how this works. When you browse the internet, companies collect detailed information about your behavior. What you click, how long you pause, what you search for, who you communicate with. This data is processed to create predictions about your future behavior. These predictions are then sold to advertisers who want to influence your purchasing decisions. Here's what distinguishes surveillance capitalism from earlier forms of data collection. The goal isn't just to understand you, but to modify your behavior without your awareness. Companies don't simply want to know what you'll do, they want to shape what you'll do. The techniques have become increasingly sophisticated. Emotional states can be detected through typing patterns. Political views can be inferred from browsing history. Some researchers argue that platforms know more about users than users know about themselves. Privacy regulations like GDPR in Europe attempt to address these concerns, but enforcement remains challenging. Companies continue finding ways to collect data through complex terms of service that few users actually read. Critics argue we need fundamental reforms to an economic model that treats human experience as a resource to be extracted. Others counter that free services benefit consumers and targeted advertising supports innovation. The debate over where to draw boundaries between convenience and privacy will likely define digital policy for decades.
Picture a skyscraper, but instead of offices, every floor is filled with growing vegetables. This is vertical farming, agriculture designed for urban environments. Traditional farms need vast amounts of land, but vertical farms stack growing layers on top of each other, producing more food in smaller spaces. The technology relies on controlled environments. Plants grow under LED lights specifically tuned for optimal growth. Water circulates through systems where roots absorb nutrients directly. No soil required. Temperature, humidity, and light cycles are precisely managed by computers. The advantages seem impressive. Vertical farms use up to 95% less water than traditional agriculture. They can operate year-round regardless of weather or season. Food travels shorter distances from farm to table, reducing transportation costs and keeping produce fresher. However, the electricity costs are substantial. Running LED lights and climate control systems requires significant energy. Critics argue that until renewable energy becomes cheaper and more widespread, the carbon footprint of vertical farms may exceed traditional methods. There's also the question of which crops work best. Leafy greens and herbs thrive in these systems, but staple crops like wheat and rice remain impractical. The scale and energy requirements make them far too expensive to grow vertically.
All right, let's go through the answers. So you can see how Module 2 increases an increase in difficulty. Also, you can see how Marwa was talking about earlier about being able to maintain focus. Maintain focus. Here are the answers. You can go ahead and I'll pause right here so you can go through all the answers globally. If there's anything that you want to share about Module 2, what did you find challenging? What do you see that, once you get to Module 2, what do you need to work on? Some people, in terms of losing focus, like Marvel was talking about, that's why sometimes taking notes can be helpful. It keeps you focused. You mentally can stay engaged. So for the listen and respond, the correct answer, this is just more detail. And if you got something wrong, you can kind of see where you got it wrong. But number one was D. Number two is A. Three is B. And four is C. Yeah, Elena's talking about note taking. Yeah, Elena, it's, I don't know if necessarily for a conversation you need it, but really, Elena, it's challenging to stay focused. And sometimes when you're taking notes, at least it keeps you focused. And when you're taking notes, you don't have to rely on your memory because if you're a good note taker, you have all the answers in your notes. And in the course, I really demonstrate what shorthand note taking looks like. If you look at the lectures in the course, especially the practice test, I'm showing you what shorthand note taking looks like. And I think that can be very helpful that you don't have to use your memory. Yeah, especially for the academic talk. Very easy to get lost. 5 is D, 6 is A, 7 is C, 8 is D. All right. Again, here is the global answer key for the questions 9 through 26. Just want to show this again in case anybody missed it. And what you want to do, everybody, is a total of 44 questions. It's a total of 44 questions. So take how many you got correct in module 1 and how many you got correct in module 2, and that's how many you got correct out of 44 questions, and then figure out your percentage, and I'll let you know kind of, where you stand in terms of what your scoring is. For number 5, C also seems quite logical. Let me go back and look at it. For number 5, I'll go back and look at it. All right, these are a lot of the different traps that they used in the module. And this is what it looks like individually. And Elena and somebody else mentioned number 5. I'll go back to it. 9 was C, 10 is B. This is what it looks like in terms of the transcript. There's 11 and 12. 11 was D, 12 was A. You look at the wrong answers and some of the traps they use. And here we go with the transcript. Now, in the ETS practices they don't give you this level of breakdown. I'm just giving you this level of breakdown because this is more of a teaching course and not just practicing. And so I do things like this in terms of presenting transcripts and questions and explanations in case you get something wrong, and trap answers. Things like that, I think sometimes for students are important to have a good understanding of why they made a mistake and what they need to watch out for in the future. 13 is B, 14 is C. Here it is with the transcript. And there's more practice like this in the course. Okay, some people ask me, am I going to upload this in the course? I don't know if I'm going to be able to because on module 1, there was that issue of the annotation box being on the screen, and I'm not going to upload something that has an annotation box on the screen, so I don't know if this will be uploaded or not. 15 is C, 16 is D, and there it is with the transcript. 17 was C, 18 was B. There they are with the transcript. '19 was B, 20 is A. Yeah, Elena, what made you choose D at the end? There's 21 C, 22 is D. And 23 is B, 24 is B. And 25 is C, and 26 is B. All right. Let me go back up to number 5. Have you finished reviewing the contract? I need a few more hours. And somebody said B, the terms are favorable to us. I think for this one, Elena, D is the most direct answer. It directly answers the question. Do you understand? Because the person is asking, have you finished the contract? Okay. And have you finished the contract? D directly answers it. Yes, I have, or no, I have not. Somebody responding with saying the terms are favorable to us doesn't mean necessarily they finish reviewing the contract. Do you understand? Your B requires inferencing on number 5. What? Signing might be viable. What? Signing might be viable. I don't understand. Oh, you're talking about C? I signed it already this morning. Yeah, but that doesn't C doesn't directly answer the question. Yeah, it has to be D. I need a few more hours. Means, that answers if you finished or not. All right. So, these listen and respond questions. Somebody asked me to go back to 21. Yeah, for some people, that could happen. '21. There's 21. All right, does everybody have their percentages calculated? I'm going to go back to the screen so you can get an idea of kind of where you are. I'll have to go back to the top. All right, this will give you a good idea kind of where you are right now. So we're using the hard path method. I know some people say the module, sorry. Module 2 is a little bit easier for them, but let's look at the hard path side of it because that's really what we were on. And, you know, those percentages on the right side will give you more of an idea of kind of where you are right now in terms of your scoring. Remember, you have to calculate your percentage out of 44 questions, and then that gives you an idea of where you are.